Good evening, colleagues. I'm the interstate union boss or thug, depending on what interpretation you want to put on the minister's words. Never, never, never let it be said again that doctors are only interested in themselves. These past few months, Queensland doctors have been prepared to put their careers on the line for a very basic principle. That principle is that patient care must always come first. This was never a dispute about money or conditions, despite what the government tried to portray. It was always about power, about who should ultimately determine the needs of patients in care. The government wanted to control the power of the medical profession to control patient care.
Please have a read of this.
So either a doctor discharged their professional oath, their duty to their patients, our duty to our profession, or it was a bureaucrat meeting their KPIs. We refuse to yield to the notion that the challenge of healthcare is one of just management alone. We said if that is the system, that we would not be a part of it. At first, the government didn't believe you and us. They thought they could break us and break our resolve. They bullied us into setting deadlines and besmirched us in the press. And as I've said to a few of the colleagues, I guess that comes with the territory of being the federal president of the union.
Please have a read of this. This is
very unfair what they did to the colleagues in Queensland, in the press and in the parliament. As I've said, they called me an interstate union boss. But if that's what it takes to see off this attack, then that's a badge that I will wear with pride. How did we get here? How did we get here? A little bit of a detour about federal ASMOF. It was a union formed some years ago by staff specialists in other states to firstly have a union in the federal industrial space to look after doctors' interests, and we did that. The second purpose of ASMOF was to have a branch of the federal union in a state for those hospitals that were likely to become federal. And they're the Schedule 3 hospitals or the MARTAs, the religious hospitals generally. And we certainly have fulfilled that aim already in Queensland. And the third aim, which we didn't think we'd ever have to do anything about, was to assist a state union, ASMOF-Q, in times of need or trouble. And that's certainly been borne out in spades in Queensland. So let's just have a quick helicopter view of what happened. February of last year was the blueprint for health. Did the medical profession respond in an appropriately strong and resolute way? No, it didn't. Then in December came the legislation and the first contract and a negotiation period, which, as you've already heard, was not a negotiation period at all. So in December, we, Federal ASMOF, sent Peter Somerville, who was our best guy at industrial negotiations, to assist. The local union couldn't do anything, so we sent our best guy in Australia for this sort of work. In January, the process continued, and as you know, on the 17th of January, the government said, oops, sorry, all the negotiations are over. Were there any changes of substance in the contract? No, there were not. 3 pineapple meetings. No real movement from the government. And then Dr. Rob Thomas volunteered, thank you Rob, for that full-page advertisement in the Courier Mail on page 6. That's what brought the government back to the table. No amount of talking and being nice to them worked. It was political power. And you already heard about the letterboxing and all the campaign stuff. But this government only understands political power, and the profession met them in spades. So what did Federal ASMOF actually do? Well, we convened and chaired the task force. I ended up as a media whore in the Courier Mail. I can't recall how many pictures I've seen myself in the Courier Mail. We raised a levy and we've got a fighting fund of multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars that we've used for the campaign to hire this venue, to send out emails, to send out documents, to pay our lawyers, to pay Alana Muir and Essential Media Communications. We've instructed the legal team and the comms people, because the state union couldn't do any of that because of the legislation that was passed last year. So in about January, I got the sense that this was shaping up to be a real fight. Contract comes out, no negotiations of substance. The government terminates the negotiation process with no real changes. I mean, the first three drafts of the contract didn't even have teaching and research in it. Now, to me as a staff specialist from New South Wales, that's an integral part of every staff specialist in every public hospital, every teaching hospital in this country. The government had no idea what a doctor does in a teaching hospital. So at that time, I thought back to one of my boyhood heroes, Winston Churchill. And I sent around lots of fire and brimstone comments that some of you don't like. But my sense was, in January, that this is where it would get to. It would get to the threat of mass resignations, and it may even get to the threat of actually submitting those resignations. Well, as you've learned tonight, we've got to a point where the contract is probably acceptable. We aren't going to make that judgment. We, the task force. You, the members, are going to make that judgment. So the quote that I liked the most in January, February, from Winston Churchill was victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory however long and hard the road may be. For without victory, there is no survival. That's the way I saw it in January. I think that's the way it still is. There is not victory over these contracts. The medical profession in Queensland is fucked. Quite clearly. That's where it's got to. Are the contracts to the point where the medical profession is safe? I think so. But it's not my view that counts, it's your view, as we've said. I understand that not all of you might agree with that concept of Winston Churchill's about victory, because without victory there is no survival. Have we and I and the task force copped a lot of abuse? The second quote that I'd like to give you from Winston Churchill goes as follows. You have enemies. Good. That means you've stood up for something sometime in your life. And I'm very proud to have participated and chaired the task force and allowed the mechanisms and the logistics and support of the Federal Union to assist you, the colleagues, in your fight against this very right-wing government. What the government underestimated was our unity, your unity, and our preparedness to go all the way. And 1,200 resignations in the Sydney office says to me that the vast bulk of the doctors in Queensland were not prepared to lie down and die. And that 1,200 resignations brought the government and the health minister back to the negotiating table last week, just last week. This has been a roller coaster. I'm looking forward to this whole process finishing, if it's tomorrow, if it's next week, if it is the 2nd of July because you've submitted mass resignations. I'm keen to have it over. It's certainly been a load on myself and on your colleagues on the task force. Just to reflect on that 1,200 resignations, that's 1 in 3 doctors. That's an enormous number. It's an enormous proportion of the workforce. And so, in a sense, you, the doctors of Queensland, are the heroes. Without you, none of this would have happened. So now I want to introduce and give credit to the team of committed doctors who have given up their lives on your behalf over the past months to get us to this point. I want them to come up here on stage. I want them to stand in front of you so that they can feel your feelings for what they've done. So in order, Nick Buckmaster, physician and president of Asmoff Q. Nick, come up to the stage. Just en passant, I should note that Nick was instrumental in Asmoff Q since its beginning. And I think he's had enough, and he's probably going to retire at the upcoming election. You will receive ballot papers in the next couple of weeks. and there will be a committee of 10, and I suspect there will be a bit of renewal in that committee with the engaged doctors of Queensland that are now involved in the union. Next, we've got Sandy Donald. Now, Sandy's not here. Is Sandy on webinar somewhere, I hope? Sandy's not here? No. Rob Elliott, paediatric anaesthetist, onto the stage, please. Nicole Fairweather, anaesthetist. She not here? Nicole's online. Can I wave at her? Hi, Nicole. James Finn, addiction medicine specialist and secretary of ASMOFQ. Sean McManus, intensivist from Cairns, online no doubt. At the Pig and Whistle, Cock and Bull, Pig and Whistle. I don't know, these pommies with their names for pubs, it's a bit of a worry, isn't it? Stephen Morrison, please. Stephen. Respiratory medicine physician and vice president of ASMOFQ. Alistair Newton, emergency physician. No, not here. Not here. Mark Ross, hand surgeon and VMO rep. Suzanne Royal, paediatrician extraordinaire. Siva Centurion, intensivist from Townsville. Hao Tan, anaesthetist. Rob Thomas, media hall. Jeff Crawford, anaesthetist. Roxanne Wu, vascular surgeon, VMO from Cairns. Not here. Probably in the, whatever name of pub it is up there. And the last of the doctors, Michelle Davis, an emergency physician. We've got a bit of a campaign team that have assisted us mere mortal doctors with this. Kate Flanders, please come up. Come on, Kate, where are you? Come on. Oh, it's Chris Turnbull. Come on. Come on, Kate, get yourself up here. Come on, quick sticks. Kate's the Assistant Secretary of Together, and she's been a bit of a driving force through this campaign. Dan Goldman is already here on the podium. Peter Sunville's next. Come on, Peter. Come on down. Alana, put the camera down. Get the cameraman to take the picture. You can come up here as well. Is Alex here? We should also thank Alex Scott and the staff of the Together Union. Without them and the delegates in the sites, in the hospitals, half of what we wanted to do wouldn't have happened. And lastly, the staff in the New South Wales office of ASMOF, and they've done an enormous amount of behind-the-scenes work in terms of receiving those 1,000 resignations, cataloguing them, sending out stuff, emails. It's just unbelievable. So what I'd like you to do, as I do, is thank this team from the bottom of your heart. They're not on my list. And Luke and Shannon, you here somewhere? Thank you. I did leave out, because my spectacles aren't on, is Luke and Shannon from Hall Payne. Where are they? Come on. I want a photograph. I want a photograph of the team, and that means Luke and Shannon have to come up as well. Luke and Shannon, come on. Quickly, we want a photograph. So, where's the photographer guy? Where's your photographer mate? The photographer mate's not here. Are we paying him so much money that he can't come for the group photo?
We've got enough. What about the professor of non-street innuendo?
Yes. John. Where's John? John who? This is the task force and the team. So, all the photos you've got needed, done? Yes, thank you. So take your seats, a couple more lines and words from me. So what did the task force do? They mobilised your hospitals, their departments, to send the news back through us and through you to the Director-General that your anger was real and your resolve was fundamental. Whole departments, whole hospitals, whole regions were galvanised behind this campaign. And the credit goes to the task force and to you, the members. In Cairns, the whole hospital was prepared to walk to save your and our health system. In Nambour, whole departments were ready to leave. Across the state, whole specialties were resolved to do whatever it took. I'll have to retype that, to save the health system. It was never about a union plot. That's what the government tried to paint it to the public as. It was the grassroots doctors. We were in a sense, the facilitators. We were the pipelines. It was through the unions, my union, our union, that we were able to fight back. ASMOF working with Together and with the support of the AMA. Democratic and representative bodies doing what you pay us as unions to do. Most of us, of course, are not paid. We do this work for the love of our profession. So your individual power, working together, amplified, and we won. That's what I want you to take away with you as you return to your workplaces. Together, we are unbeatable, and Queensland is better because of it. Thank you.